New Zealand is one of the world's most developed countries where people enjoy a high quality of life and live in prosperity, peace and honesty. It offers a stunning nature, a strong economy and low crime rates. So it is not surprising that the net migration to New Zealand has been positive during almost the entire period of the last 20 years. Nevertheless, as in any country, there are a few drawbacks that you will need to consider in case you are interested in moving to New Zealand. And in this video I will address these downsides in more detail. Let us begin with the high cost of living and the high housing costs. Auckland is more than 11% more expensive than Berlin, 4% more expensive than Melbourne, but about 15% less expensive than Dallas, Texas. Auckland is New Zealand's biggest city with half of the population of the country living in or around it. As New Zealand's economic center, it is also the place where most jobs are available, and it's where more than 60% of all New Zealand immigrants settle down. So it is not surprising that housing in Auckland is extremely expensive. Rent continues to go up, with some people having to pay nearly half their income towards it. On average, a house in Auckland costs around $900,000, up 28% in the last 12 months. With the Auckland metropolitan area gaining in population, high demand and low availability most probably won't make prices fall in near future. Outside of Auckland, housing is more affordable, but on the other hand there are fewer job opportunities. In any case, prepare yourself to pay a lot for housing. The next downside of moving to New Zealand is its geographical isolation. New Zealand is an island country located in the southwest of the Pacific Ocean. This means that New Zealanders have to fly a long way if they want to visit any other country that isn't Australia or one of the Pacific Islands. This makes overseas holidays very expensive, and many expats find that they cannot afford to visit relatives back home as often as they'd like to. New Zealand's isolation from the rest of the world also increases the cost of imported goods. If you are expecting to continue a lifestyle as a world wanderer, then you could ask yourself whether New Zealand really is the right country for you. For sure, the geographical remoteness of New Zealand also has its upsides. For instance, the fact that you are far enough from potential wars and the world's conflicts. But still, the implications of New Zealand's geographical isolation is something you will need to get used to. On the other hand, it is good to know that New Zealanders benefit from freedom of movement to Australia and vice versa, which reduces isolation a bit. While there is plenty to do in New Zealand's nature, and the larger cities have a limited but thriving nightlife, New Zealand does not compare to the busy and vibrant streets of cities in Europe, Asia or the US. While New Zealand's more laid-back lifestyle may suit expats who are looking for a quieter life, young adults and students may find themselves longing for more action. Many people are drawn to New Zealand because of its quiet, laid-back lifestyle, but this can also be one of the bad things about living in New Zealand if you are more of an opportunistic and adventurous person. As you might know, New Zealand is home to way more sheep than humans. They are dotted all over the country's landscapes like fluffy white clouds, chopping grass and seriously outnumbering their human friends. With more than 30 million sheep living in New Zealand, they outnumber humans by a factor of 6. So if you prefer a busy life in a vibrant metropolis, with many opportunities and adventures waiting for you, then New Zealand might not be the country that fits you best. While healthcare is subsidized by the government, dental treatment is not. Although it's free for people under 18, the cost of both appointments and treatments for adults is very high. Because of this, just over half of the population of New Zealand does not see a dentist regularly, if ever. It's simply too expensive for lower and even middle-income residents. In fact, a recent Otago Daily Times survey revealed that 87% of New Zealanders put off dental treatment because of the costs. Or as former Health Minister Dr. David Clark puts it, we have people struggling with third world health conditions as a result of bad dental hygiene and inability to access the care and treatment they need. A short 45-minute appointment in New Zealand costs more than double than what you would pay in the UK, so make sure to put some money on the side for dentist bills. Because of New Zealand's relatively small population of about 5 million, specialized jobs in specific fields can be hard to come by. New Zealanders who specialize themselves in some industry or research field often find themselves moving to Australia or to another country, as there are not many job opportunities in the field they are specialized in. So before moving to New Zealand, it makes sense to do some research on whether there is enough demand for your profession in New Zealand. Another drawback of New Zealand is its high ultraviolet radiation exposure. Skin cancer, skin aging and other skin damages are the most significant implications of high UV exposure. And therefore New Zealand sadly has the second highest cancer rate in the developed world, only topped by Australia. The UV exposure in New Zealand is not as high as in Australia, but still it poses a threat to its population. Due to the reduction of the ozone layer since the 1970s, the atmosphere is not as effective anymore in blocking ultraviolet radiation, so make sure to apply sunscreen even if you leave the house shortly. Wear hats and don't be exposed to the sun for too long. In New Zealand, the maximum value of the UV index in summer is generally at about 12 to 13, where 11 is already considered as extreme. So even though New Zealand is not famous for its high UV radiation exposure, like neighboring Australia, it is still a problem that you should protect yourself against. When moving to New Zealand, prepare to deal with itchy mosquito and sandfly bites. The first summer is always the worst, and expats should make sure to use insect repellent when enjoying the warm evenings. Furthermore, installing mosquito nets to windows at your house makes sure these annoying creatures stay out of your home. Even though New Zealand is fairly close to the hot and sunny land of Australia, temperatures in New Zealand are much less extreme. But still it is possible to experience 4 seasons in one day. Not literally, but weather and temperatures can change quickly. It can be sunny one moment and rainy the next. To be fair, this also is a problem in the UK for instance and in many other places in the world, but still it doesn't hurt to be aware about this. Even though New Zealand offers many visa types such as a skilled workers visa, student visa, family reunification visa or working holiday visa, moving to New Zealand permanently is considered difficult. Just like Australia, New Zealand has an immigration program based on a point system, and if you don't get enough points in the questionnaire, then it will be hard to move to New Zealand. But if you invested enough in your education and your profession, and if you can provide something New Zealand's society can benefit from, then it will be easier. New Zealand is a hotspot of tectonic activity. The Pacific Ring of Fire is responsible for the majority of Earth's volcanoes and earthquakes, and New Zealand sits right on top of it. In New Zealand, there are about 14,000 earthquakes every year, although only 100 to 150 of them can be felt by humans. It's no wonder the country is known as the Shaky Isles. Luckily, volcanoes are less of a problem. Nevertheless, the world's biggest volcano eruption in the past 5,000 years took place in New Zealand, leaving a huge crater that filled with water and became the stunning Lake Taupo. Lake Taupo today is the country's largest lake. Earthquakes and volcanoes most probably will not affect you, but it is still good to know that the Pacific Ring of Fire is located right in front of New Zealand's doorstep. As always, the last downside is a bit of a fun fact. You may not want to leave New Zealand after moving here, because in spite of the mentioned drawbacks, New Zealand is a place where you can enjoy a fabulous life in peace and prosperity. It's safe, it's clean, and New Zealand's beautiful nature makes you quickly feel at home. So you may find yourself not wanting to leave the country whatsoever. Did I forget a downside? Then please let me know down in the comments. As always, all sources are linked in the description below.